How many babies does it take to paint a wall? Depends on how hard you throw them. What's up, weirdos? Scott here. Thanks again for visiting the channel. As always, I appreciate it. If this is your first time, to the channel, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the content. And today, I'm doing a quick video. Well, it's not going to be quick, but I'm doing a video on my 15 favorite knives of 2023. Now, some of these knives will not have been released in 2023. Some of these knives were released a while ago, but I acquired them in my collection this year. But there are a lot of knives in this video that will be brand new from 2023. I'm starting off with a couple of honorable mentions, only because you guys know that this is my favorite knife in my collection up until this point. The REEVE UMNUMZAAN, which I absolutely love. This thing is great. Look at that blade. You know, you've got your milled titanium scales. You've got your titanium pocket clip, which I took off of here only because it wouldn't sit right on the mat. It was sitting like backwards, so that would have looked stupid. But I wanted to show this guy off just because you guys know that this is my favorite knife in my collection. Absolutely love that blade. Love the scales. Love how simplistic this knife is, but how badass it is. It's got the rubber rings here on the thumb studs to dampen the sound when you open it, which is nice because it is pretty loud when you open it without the dampeners on there. You've got some jimping up on the spine of the blade. You've got a Tanto tip here. Sometimes they do make this with the harpoon tip, but I don't have the harpoon version. That's fine. Not a big deal. Nice spot here for your thumb when you're going to choke up. Sorry, I moved that down. This is just an everyday, badass, multi-use knife, hard use. It's absolutely fantastic. It's pricey, and it's very difficult to find, but absolutely worth every penny, in my opinion. Okay, next up, the second honorable mention is my Hinderer Knives Ranch BOWIE, which I just acquired this knife a couple of weeks ago. Absolutely love it. I don't have any other fixed blades, so I'm not going to say that this is my favorite fixed blade, but it's definitely one of my favorite knives. I love this thing. It's so big. You can see here that it's, I think it's about 10.5 inches long, with a 5.5 inch blade and a 5-inch cutting edge, which is perfect for a fixed blade for me. I mean, you can take this thing out in the woods. You can do bushwhacking with it. You can do batoning with it. Anything that you can think of to put this knife through, you can put it through. Now, this is 3V steel. It's my first knife in 3V. I would have bought something in 3V before now because 3V is a really interesting steel to me. But I live in Pennsylvania, which is the corrosion capital of the friggin' world. So, you know, even people in Florida, they're like, oh, we got a lot of salt water in the air, so that causes a lot of corrosion too. But you got to think about it. In Pennsylvania, you know, 4 to 5 months out of the year, they're throwing salt on the road every day, which makes it bad enough. But then in the summertime, when everything heats up and all the water melts, there's so much sodium content in the air, and it's just so humid and moist here. I said moist. But you can't have 3V in an environment like this unless it's coated. So I absolutely wanted a coated 3V blade, and this handle is absolutely fantastic. You got a swell here for the palm, you've got a guard here for the back of your hand, you got a guard here for the front of your hand, and it's just got a slight curve to it, or a contour. Got a nice little big lanyard hole back here, full tang knife, obviously. Nice fit and finish is absolutely fantastic on this thing. It's a great knife all the way around. And this sheath, or lanyard as I called it in my video, the sheath is absolutely beautiful. Gorgeous, gorgeous leather work. Amish made leather work, done. I'm not sure what WH stands for, but it is handcrafted leather. I believe they do it in North Carolina. Just wanted to show off this guy to you, just real quick. It's going to be a long video, but I will get through it as quickly as I can. So we're going to get started with the knives that I'm actually going to be showing. The first on the list is the Nimble X. You've got this nice titanium milled handle here, titanium hardware. You've got the Atom Man sign on the front here. You've also got the titanium pocket clip, frame lock knife, nice little drop point blade. You've got the fuller here with the hole in the middle from that's, you know, very indicative of EMP EDC. Lots of jimping up here on the spine of the blade. Nice finger choil and a very comfortable handle. Now, when I'm choked up, I don't go all the way out to the front of the jimping, but it's pretty darn close. You can see there's only a couple of jimps left over that I'm not using. But very comfortable in the hand, very sturdy, nice for push cuts. You can get a nice pinch grip on this guy. Absolutely fantastic for detail work. Nice tip on it. This is a fantastic knife. Costs about $280 from EMP EDC when they're available, but they currently are not. So sorry about that, you guys. I really love EMP EDC's design language. I really love the way their knives fit in my hand. I've got a couple of them now, and the other one is on the list as well. So you'll see that here in just a little bit. But a great knife from a great company. Absolutely love them. Yes, they're made in China, but they are starting to make knives in America now. Next on the list is going to be one of my Hinderers. Now, again, these knives have been around for a long time, but I just got one in my collection this year. Actually, I just got two in my collection this year. So this is the Hinderer XM18. Looks like about 8.15 inches overall. Excuse me. With a 4.5 inch blade. I'm sorry, a 3.5 inch blade, and just over a 3-inch cutting edge. You've got a nice flat grind here, nice flat that carries out almost all the way to the tip. You've got a swedge up here, thumb studs that also act as locking lugs or stop lugs. Nice stone wash. No, I'm sorry. This is the working finish. So you got a little bit more abrasion there just to cover up any scratches or dinks or dents or anything like that. But as you can see, this knife is pretty well used. It's got some snail trails on it, some marks from cutting, stuff like that. I use this knife all the time. Absolutely love the scales. I do have G10 versions. I'm not a huge fan of the full titanium Hinderers just because they're heavier. I like it a little bit lighter, so I keep the G10 scales on mine. You have the battle blue finish on the backside with the titanium pocket clip, and you've got your Hinderer milling right here. Filler tab for the pocket clip if you want to reverse it, and this is a frame lock knife. You've got the tri-way pivot system, which you can replace with either phosphor bronze washers, Teflon washers, or bearings, which I have the bearings in mine right now, which is why the action is so good. You can see this kind of just falls down into the handle with no problem whatsoever. Next on the list, you're going to recognize it. It's the XM24, just a little bit bigger, same exact knife, only bigger. This one has a 4-inch blade on it. Let's see if I can get you the measurements here. I'm sorry, a 5-inch blade. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-inch blade. I was just messing with the Hinderer wrench, so I said 5 inches. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, almost 9¼ inches overall, with a handle of about 5 inches, maybe 5.15 inches. Very comfortable knife to use. The milling and everything on the, I'm sorry, not the milling, the contouring on the handle, right where the fingers are, it's all exactly the same as the XM18. It's just bigger. Now, both of these are Spanto versions. The blade on this one has not been used yet, but I plan on using it quite a bit once summer comes around. It's just not a really good knife to use in the wintertime. Great action, falls right down into the handle. Thumb studs work great, flipper works great. It's not very easy for me to reverse flick this knife, but I'm getting there. But you can see that action is absolutely fantastic, and the acoustics on this knife are great. Whoops, I hit my light. Sorry, guys. There you go. So yeah, I've got the G10 scale on this guy. Like I said, I'm going to keep that there. All the same stuff, just a bigger knife. This is also an S45VN, so is the XM18. I love S45VN. It's one of my favorite steels in the whole wide world. Next on the list is going to be the EMP EDC Pulse OTF. Love this knife. It's a little bit more compact than I'm used to, but I'm okay with that. It's got a good size handle. It's not quite as skinny as the Microtech Oh God, what's the name of that knife? The Microtech UTX. That one is much more slim in the handle, and the blade is a little bit thinner. You still have the EMP EDC fuller here with the hole in the center. You've got nice jimping up top in case you need to choke up on this knife, although it's a little bit of a smaller knife. I wouldn't be using this for hard use or anything like that. Sheep's foot blade, they call it a Wharncliffe, but I'm going to call this a sheep's foot with a hollow grind. And the action on this thing is absolutely fantastic. It's so easy to actuate. It's so easy to disengage. And this is just a joy to use. I carry this with me just about every day. Milled aluminum scales, contoured milled aluminum scales, which you don't get a lot on OTF knives. This guy also is around $280 or $300. Well worth the price. Absolutely love it. I forgot to tell you how much the XMs were. Sorry, the XM24 is going to run you around $600, and the XM18 is going to run you around $425 or $450, depending on where you get it. You've got the Adam Man logo on this side with the matching milled titanium. I'm sorry, yeah, matching milled titanium pocket clip on this side, and then you also have a milled titanium button there for operation of the knife. This is great. I love this knife so much. Next up on the list, close to a budget knife, but not quite. You've got the Wii Big Banter. This is a fantastic EDC knife if you like bigger knives. The action is fantastic. Everything about this knife works great. Nope, you can't front flip it, but you do have quite a not aggressive jimping, but deep jimping on the spine up here to help you get a good hold on the knife. Nice forward finger choil with a sharpening choil. I don't know why Ben did that, but that, you know, it's his choice. What is up, guys? You got that emblem there. Nothing else on the other side. This is 20 CV steel, and you've just got micarta scales with steel liners, and this is a steel liner lock. I like the size of this knife a lot. I like the action as well. It just drops shut back into the handle. Wasn't a huge fan of the Banter or the Baby Banter just because those are way too small for my hands, but as you can see, this one fits very, very nicely. Next up on the list, number 6. Absolutely love this knife. Jesus Christ. The Ramlock Stitch. From Microtech. You've got the Borka symbol here because this is a Borka design. You've got the Microtech symbol here, and M390 there. Sterile on the other side, G10 scales, RAM-LOK, which I absolutely love the RAM-LOK. It's a fantastic lock in my opinion. Very small lanyard hole, which I'm okay with that. Nice long back spacer. All the hardware is T8s except for the pivot screw, which is a T20, and you've also got a filler tab on this side in case you want to move the pocket clip over to the other side, which I think is fantastic that they did that. I really, really do. This was not my first experience with the RAM-LOK. I also have the MSI, which is coming up soon. But I love the RAM-LOK. It's more comfortable, in my opinion, than the bearing lock on the Manix 2. And it's just as easy to use as any other standard axis lock or crossbar lock, whatever you want to call it, that you get on Benchmade's and just about any other brand now that the patent is up on Benchmade's axis lock. I've been looking for a Stitch for a very long time. This is not a new knife, but these were released this year. The RAM-LOK manual stitches were released this year. And I'm so glad that I finally was able to get a hold of one. I've wanted a I've wanted a Stitch for so long, but I didn't want the automatic. I don't like automatics, so I got this guy instead. Next up is going to be the Ramlock MSI from Microtech. MSI stands for Microtech Standard Issue, so I'm not going to call it the Microtech MSI. This one is also made in M390. You've got your Microtech symbol there, and again, the blade is sterile on the lock side. You still have the RAM-LOK G10 scales. I have the frag pattern G10 scales, which I absolutely love. But this is just one of my favorite knives that I've ever gotten. It's a big boy. It's nice and beefy in the hand. Girthy, if you will, but it's very comfortable to use. You can reverse flick it, you can thumb flick it, you can use the RAM-LOK to open it up and close it up. The action on this guy is absolutely fantastic. Very smooth, runs on bearings. This is an absolutely fantastic knife. The Microtech Stitch RAM-LOK is going to run you around $300, and the MSI is going to cost you around $250, depending on where you get it. If you get this at Knife Center or Blade HQ or something like that, you're going to pay closer to $400 for this guy. So I would not buy it at that price. I would definitely see if you can find it somewhere for $250. If you can't, then I would just go with the Grivery version, which I wasn't willing to do just because I'm not a huge fan of Grivery. I don't mind it, but I'm not going to pay $250 for it. So yeah, if you can find this guy in G10 at around $250, definitely pick it up. Worth every penny for show. Next up on the list is a Vero. The Vero knives Synapse XL, which you can see has not had, I don't think, any use at all since I bought it. DLC coated blade, nice big beefy blade. You've also got the titanium full bolster here. You've got a titanium frame lock, and I opted for the end-cut carbon fiber scales and the Damascus kit, which gives you a pocket clip, if I can keep that focused, and also a backspacer, which you can see that there. Very nice knife. I think this is one of the prettiest knives in my collection, which is why I don't use it very much or at all. But I will cut tape and stuff with this guy, but I'm not going to do anything else crazy with it. I love the size of this knife. There's nice jimping up here on the spine of the blade. You've got the Vero logo there. Otherwise, the blade is completely sterile, and you've got your little groove here for opening with a reverse flick on the other side. The action on this guy is absolutely fantastic. Drop shutty. And deploying it with the reverse flick is very easy. You can't obviously do it with your thumb, but you can front flip it if I can do it. There we go. It's a little bit more difficult just because it's a very subdued front flipper, but you can do it for sure. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but I'm getting there. And you can also open it with the flipper tap, which works very, very well as well. Nice beefy knife, good for somebody who likes large knives. Absolutely love this guy. Next up on the list is my Spartan HARSEY. My Spartan HARSEY folder, which I opted for the green Plague Doctor edition. They do have a blue version of this guy, but I like the green better. I think it just matches with the motif. Nice little DLC coated blade. This is S45VN, thumb stud operated knife. Big pivots. Love those big pivots. This pivot also acts as the over travel stop on this guy. You do not have a steel lock bar insert with this knife, but I don't know that that's necessary. It hasn't traveled too much since I got it. I've had it like 6 months, I think, almost. And it's just about halfway, I'd say, with maybe a little bit more, but it hasn't migrated anymore since I got it, so that's fine. The centering on this knife is absolutely perfect. It's an absolute bruiser of a knife. You can see the thickness there on those scales, just all that milling on the titanium, and then the detail work in this scale is just phenomenal. Do not fear, my dear. You've got the Plague Doctor there with the coronavirus behind it, and a little medical staff, and a banner that has a saying on it. And then on the other side, you've also got a couple more coronaviruses there. And then you've got Bill HARSEY's signature on the other side with their arrow pocket clip. This guy is not, I'm sorry, it is reversible. You have a filler tab here that you can switch that out with. This is just, it's one of the most attractive and aesthetically pleasing knives in my collection. It's such a beast. I absolutely love it. Never getting rid of this guy. Next up on the list is my Sharp by Design Brian Ado Evo. Evo Typhoon, which is, has a harpoon blade on it, also a Tanto blade. You've got a compound grind, you've got a fuller here towards the top, which you can't use. The handle covers the fuller up for you to be able to use it. And it's also got a hole right here, which I would like to call an opening hole, but again, you can't use it. Absolutely beautiful grind lines on this guy. Love the fit and finish. I mean, you can see on this knife, there's no space at all in the transition between the titanium and the carbon fiber. This is Arctic Frost carbon fiber, and I absolutely love the way that looks. It's even nicer on the other side. You've got the titanium pocket clip there, which has a little bit of wear on it, and Brian & Doe's initials on the back of the knife. This is one of the knives I've wanted in my collection since I started collecting knives. I saw this on Complex's channel, absolutely love the knife. It only works with a flipper tab, which that's fine by me, that doesn't bother me. But I would like to have thumb studs on it, just for fun. I'm a big fan of thumb studs. I like them more than flipper tabs for sure. But I am so happy to have this knife in my collection. It's such a beautiful piece. And it's so easy to use. It's a joy to use this guy. It's so easy to open, so easy to disengage. There's no lock stick on it whatsoever. And I just love the look of this blade. It's so aggressive. And just so, this knife is so badass. You've got a nice steel lock bar insert here, which also acts as the over travel stop. And you have Brian & Doe's proprietary detent on this guy. Again, the fit and finish is probably my favorite part of this knife. It's such a nice knife. It almost looks like an integral, the way they have it set up, but it's not. It's two pieces of titanium. You got a little clip here for a lanyard if you'd like, and T8 screws all the way around. It's a fantastic knife. I would buy this again in a heartbeat. I'll never get rid of this guy. Look at that action. Just falls right back down into the handle. Such a great knife. Love it. Next up on the list, we're going to 5 more, so that's number 10. Number 11 is going to be the Microtech Socom Elite. This is a very popular knife, has been around for quite some time. But I just got it this year in my collection. You've got some grippy rubber inserts here inside the inside the aluminum scales. A lot of contouring here. A lot of milling. And just very comfortable handle. You've got a titanium liner lock here, which is great. I love titanium titanium liner locks. I like them a lot. I took my pocket clip off just because that's dumb. I don't like tip down carry. I never have, and I never will. Quite a bit of writing here on the blade, but everybody already knows about that. I got the Tanto version. Thumb studs here also act as locking lugs or stop lugs, however you want to put it. But it does have a stop pin on the inside there just to stop the blade when it's closed. Great action. Fall shut action, opens very easily with the thumb studs. You can reverse flick this guy with no problem whatsoever. There you go. And like I said, disengagement is fairly easy, and you don't have to do anything to get the blade to drop back down into the handle. Wouldn't call it guillotine, but it definitely is fall shut for show. Next up on the list is going to look exactly the same. It's just going to be prettier. This is the Socom Bravo, which did come out in 2022, but I wasn't able to purchase this guy. Actually, I traded for this guy. I wasn't able to get this into my collection until this year, but this is another one of my favorites. I love the Socom Elite. This is much prettier. I don't use it just for that reason. I would use it if I didn't have 100 other knives that I could use. But just look at that grind on that edge there. I mean, just absolute mirror shine on that edge. It's so gorgeous. I love this little groove here. It helps you to be able to open the knife if you don't want to use the thumb studs. But it's kind of difficult to do. You have to go right up here at the top. But it is possible to reverse flick this guy without using the thumb stud. There's no flipper on this guy, just the thumb studs. That's fine by me. Like I said, I prefer thumb studs over flipper tabs anyway. You've got a beautiful faux titanium bolster here with anodized blue pivot collars. You've got carbon fiber on the scales, lanyard hole here, nice big back spacer. Love that. Lots of milling. Gives you plenty of grip on this knife, and then you also have a milled titanium pocket clip. This guy is fantastic. Absolutely love it. I'll never use it. I'll never get rid of it. This is going to be in my collection forever. Next up, we're getting close to the end. I'm sure you guys knew that this one was going to be on here. Oh God, that's gorgeous. The Custom Knife Factory Rotten Design Evo 3.0 in polished DLC coating. You can see how shiny this thing is. It's so beautiful. I absolutely love everything about this knife. The blade is just aggressive as hell. Sick looking, absolutely sick. You've got the thumb studs slash stop lugs there that stop the blade when it's opened. and then there is a stop pin in there to stop it when it's closed. You can see the action on this knife. You can use those lugs to open it if you want to, but just look how fall shutty this is. I mean, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything at all. You can't get this knife, unfortunately, unless you buy it on the secondary market, especially the DLC version, but this also has a Mokutai pocket clip that came with it when I bought it from my buddy Pete. Just absolutely gorgeous. This knife gives me the giggles a little bit. So yeah, I think this is probably, I would call it my favorite knife in my collection, but I'm never going to use it. It's a Safe Queen. So I'm not going to call it my favorite knife in my collection. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. I love having it in my collection. I will never ever get rid of it unless Pete wants it back. He'll be the only person I'll ever sell this back to. Two more. We got the Microtech ANAX, also in DLC, Tanto blade. Very slim handle on this guy, which doesn't bother me. I think I wasn't a huge fan of it at first, but once I got it in my hand, it's very comfortable, and I like it. I don't mind the fact that it's got such a big blade on it and such a small handle. That doesn't bother me at all. This does come with proprietary hardware, so they send you the bits that you need to be able to take this guy apart, although it's an integral, so there's not a lot to it. You just got to take the pivot out, and that's the end of it. Nice little groove in the center that you can use to open it, or you can front flip it, which is fantastic. I've never liked front flippers just because I'm not very good at them, but I will say this one and the Button Barber that I just bought are fantastic front flippers. They're very easy to deploy with the thumb flipper, and there's no lock stick on this guy at all. Very easy to disengage and put back down into the handle. It's a little bit tight, but it's loosening up little by little. And I did have to take this guy apart and do some stuff to the inside. I had to re-lubricate it, tighten everything down properly, because the blade was a little bit loose when I got it. You've got a milled titanium pocket clip back here with a ceramic ball there. I'm not a huge fan of that. I think everybody already knows that. You do have an over travel stop here and a steel lock bar insert on this guy. Now, this guy was very, very expensive. I think it was like $500, something like that, which is a little bit crazy. But if you're looking at an integral and a full DLC knife from Microtech, $500 is not that bad, especially even though it's from China. I know everybody's going to be up in arms about that. It's not a real Microtech, it's made in China. Yeah, I know. I understand that. But the quality's there. It just is. So I love this knife. I love the jimping on the top here where the spine of the blade is for your thumb. There's a little bit of an area here for a forward finger choil to help you choke up, but you got to be very careful if you have bigger fingers, because that will bring your finger right up onto the edge of that blade. But as long as you're careful, it's not terrible. Last but certainly not least, I doubt anybody's even still watching at this point, but the last knife on the list is the SPYDERCO MILLITARY 2. This thing's great, guys. I love the Paramilitary 2. I really, really do. But I always wanted a little bit of a bigger version, and here it is. I mean, look at it. The blade on this thing is absolutely ridiculous. So this guy is, what, 10 inches? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9.5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, about a 4-inch blade with a 3.75-inch cutting edge. You got the opening hole there. Nice little finger guard, flat grind, full flat grind, G10 scales, steel liners, compression lock. It's your basic SPYDERCO knife, but it's so badass because it's so big. And look at the action on this guy. I mean, it falls, it's guillotine shut for sure. Absolutely fantastic knife. It's a big knife, but this one I just keep in my toolbox. I don't know if you guys can see, there's all kind of marks and shit on the scales there, but that doesn't bother me. I mean, this is a $220 knife, $240, $250, something like that. So that is a very expensive knife. I don't think that I'm downplaying that at all, but it's nowhere near the most expensive knives in my collection. So I don't mind beating the shit out of this thing a little bit, but this is definitely one of my favorite knives in my collection, fish out, fish out. I have so many knives. It took me forever to figure out what knives I wanted to put in this video, but these are definitely my favorite acquisitions from 2023. I forgot to tell you guys which ones are new and which ones aren't. I apologize. I can tell you that the Ramlock Stitch and the MSI are both brand new from 2023. What else was there? There was the Pulse OTF. That's from 2023. The Nimble X, I believe, was released in might have been 2022, but I received mine in 2023. That's when mine was made. This version of the SYNAPSE XL, I don't believe was released until 2023. The one where you get the end-cut carbon fiber scales, and there is a alteration, I guess you would say, to the way the knife functions. So if you say you buy parts for the SYNAPSE XL Gen 2, they will not work for this knife. This is the Gen 3, and it's absolutely, I love this knife. It's so great. What else is there? I think there's, yep, the Evo 3.0 was released in 2023. And that, you know, again, is one of my favorite knives in my collection, for sure. The Big Banter was released in 2023. Absolutely love that knife. I think I already told you that. And I think that's everything. Nope, I'm sorry. The Military 2 was also released in 2023. So it's finishing up the video on both ends. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. You guys already know to do that. But stay up, weirdos. Take it easy. Bye.